I'm James Beckwith, President and CEO of Five Star Bank. As a community bank, we believe that open dialogue about the issues affecting our region is vitally important. From the economy to the environment to social issues, we look forward to the conversations and hope you'll join in.
Welcome to Studio Sacramento. Two local advocates for healthy eating came to Studio Sacramento with the release of their first cookbook, Placer County Real Food. More than a cookbook, it's full of ideas and philosophy on healthy eating and the farm-to-table movement. Today, Joanne Neft and Laura Kinney returned to Studio Sacramento to talk about their new book and how they're empowering people to eat local and healthy. Joanne and Laura, welcome back to Studio Sacramento. So what inspired you both to write this new book?
Well, for me, it was the response that we had to the first book, which was amazing. It has been so positive, and when people stop us at the market and say, thank you for writing a cookbook, because you've changed the way we're eating. And I'm especially thrilled when that person is a young mother who has a couple of children in her stroller, and I say thank you, because you are giving your children a healthy life.
You have changed a lot of lives. I will tell you, you both have changed mine. Since you've been on the show, I personally have lost 60 pounds.
That's wonderful.
Good for you.
That's right. I'm a mere wafer of myself at this point.
Are you going to lose more?
I am. And you know what? I have the confidence to do it because from cooking from your original book and now all the great recipes in the new book, I've been able to figure out a way to eat healthy food that tastes good. And you know, it changes what you had said earlier, Laura, about the fact that if you eat really healthy food, you need less of it.
You definitely need less of it. And it's simple to prepare, too. When you have solid ingredients like that, I hope that you found that it's simple to make a meal for yourself by throwing together a tomato bisque or something like that.
There you go.
It doesn't take a lot of effort when you have good ingredients that you're starting with.
So I wanted to ask you both, when you decided to do this new book, what was left to be said? What is it that you didn't say last time that you wanted to say this time?
We had a couple points that we wanted to touch on. One of them was what to do with leftovers, with these great German butterball potatoes that you made mashed potatoes with, or what to do with leftover pasta or leftover quinoa. So we did want to touch on different alternatives that you can do to make another entire meal out of what you've prepared before. We also wanted to illustrate the aspect of cooking as an art. And so I think that's why we collaborated with the three artists that we did and wanted to show that we have a great illustrator and ceramic making is an art.
Tell us a little bit about the art both in the book and that we have on the table right here.
On the table, we have ceramic pieces made by Anthony Mackey-Gill. He does a wonderful job. He made all of our serving platters for the new book. How many pictures are?
80.
80. And Keith Sutter is the photographer again. He was the photographer in our first book as well, so he photographed a lot of these. And then we have an illustrator, Paula Amarine, who did she did the artwork on the cover, and she did a number of illustrations inside the different fruits and vegetables.
So, Joanne, what did you discover from the reaction to your first book?
That people really needed to connect the dots of where their food comes from. Also, we discovered that so many people have been cooking out of bags, boxes, and cans for so many years that it's difficult to make the switch. It's really difficult to know how to go to a farmer's market.
Well, you know, I still am amazed by the comment that you made last time you were on about how rare it is that you ever go into a supermarket.
I don't go into a supermarket because, well, we shop at a supermarket because that's where we get our organic milk. And there are things you must get at a supermarket. So, but my husband does it. That's why I don't go.
Aha. Okay, so that's the loophole. Well, but help the rest of us mere mortals out, both of you, because One of the things that I noticed personally was in going to a farmer's market, you kind of walk in there with a little bit of trepidation and nervousness because I don't quite know what to say. Help me and my friends at home.
That was the reason
that.
for the first book too,
Yes.
was to illustrate how to shop at the farmer's market and what to do with all these great vegetables and fruits that we have there. But just the dialogue that you can open up with farmers and with other farmer's market shoppers is amazing. And we like to introduce people to that and let them know that it is a community and everybody is there for the same reason with the same common interests. And the farmers especially are there to help you and show you what you can do with those ingredients.
Well, let me give you a scenario then, okay? So you're looking around and sometimes you're on a mission for a particular thing.
Often.
How do you have a conversation with a farmer? Because, for instance, I want a Meyer lemon, and I don't see any around. And I don't know if I'm going to offend a farmer by saying, hey, you don't have any Meyer lemons. What's the problem?
See, I don't think that it's offensive at all. If you pick a farmer who grows maybe other types of citrus, they'll know either they have the trees on their property and they're just not ready for harvest yet, or they know another farmer down the street who grows Meyer lemons and has them available. They do a lot of trading and buying from each other too, so they are a perfect source for what the entire market has to offer.
But to go back to what you just said about they may not be ripe yet, they may not be harvested yet. One of the nuances that I didn't think that I understood at first was buying and eating in season. Can we talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely.
Thank you for asking that question because for me, shopping at the local market is second nature. I've been doing it for so long. This is the way I live. This is the way that I eat. So I have forgotten what it feels like to go to a place that I'm totally unfamiliar with. And for example, I was talking to someone only yesterday, and we were talking about some recipes and doing some work around food. And he said, so let me get the picture. What we're going to do is take a fistful of recipes and we're going to the farmer's market. I said, stop right there. We're going to stop right there because you don't take a fistful of recipes.
You don't, because I mean, like, I go and I take this book, okay?
And we appreciate that.
And I'm walking around with this book, sort of like with my to-do list at Home Depot, right?
Yes,
you know?
no.
Okay?
No. Now here's the way it should happen.
Okay.
You should go to a market. You should just take the first 5-10 minutes, circle the market, see what's there, check it out, and see what there's a lot of. For example, right now, there are so many wonderful peaches and apricots and nectarines and the startup plums and berries. So just let the market inspire you, and then you buy what is in season. And you do not start with recipes, you start with what's there.
Okay, so let me just tell you how this sounds.
Is that too difficult?
No, but it almost sounds like there's a writer named Joseph Campbell who talks about, you know, sort of the journey of life, right?
And it is.
And so you almost make it sound like you're on a quest and you sort of like let the universe take you forward.
Oh, absolutely.
Instead of having a predetermined outcome.
It's called Nature's Quest.
Yeah.
Nature's Quest. Okay.
Another thing too, this new book is designed and organized by ingredient rather than by weekly menus. So that definitely segues into being able to use the ingredients that you find that you have an abundance of and find a recipe when you get home that they apply in.
Okay, well, let's talk a little bit about ingredients. So, we're going to play guinea pig here, okay? So you're going to the market, you're being inspired on your Joseph Campbell's Hero's Quest, okay? And so you have your recipe, maybe you have in mind as an inspiration, but not as a destination.
There you go.
Okay? And you want to buy meat, all right? How do you do that, and what is it that we should know about meat, fish, chicken that we buy in farmers market and how to prepare it that's different than how it is that we would approach it?
Okay, first of all, there's a huge difference in remember that there are seasons for animals too.
Really? Tell us a little bit about that.
For example, right now, the farmer who grows lambs for us, and he grows maybe 600 of them every year. The lambs aren't ready to slaughter. The lambs will not be ready until in August. So right now,
why is that?
well, because they're not big enough.
Okay.
You don't want to buy a 20-pound lamb. You want to wait until they're about 80 pounds or 90 pounds, something 70 to 80 pounds. And so, but what he does have, because this is the way they prepare it, is there are packaged frozen meats. Now, right now, there's a lot of sausages and maybe some riblets left over from, I'm talking about lambs, riblets, sausages. That's pretty much what he has now. But then in August, which is when he butchers, wow, then you're going to have full legs of lamb, but remember, there are only 4 legs. So that's why you have to be a little bit fluid on what you're eating, because you may have in your mind you're going to serve like a lamb, and you go to the market, and as I said, there are only 4 legs, but there are a lot of neck bones because people don't know what to do with neck bones. So you're going to make, instead of a leg of lamb, you're going to make neck bone stew, which is fabulous. Because the meat closest to the bone is always the sweetest. Laura, why don't you talk about cooking and lengths of time for cooking meat?
Oh, that's a big difference too that a lot of people don't realize. And for that reason, we put the chart in both books for this purpose. But grass-fed meats take less time to cook than the meats that you find in commercial grocery stores. And it's because they are pumped full of less fat and less other preservatives that that slow down the cooking process. So you have this wonderful leg of lamb or this wonderful piece of beef, and you really need to make sure that you're watching the temperature and not overcooking it, because it's very easy to do that.
Okay, you've just solved a mystery for me, because I did buy some beef from a farmer's market, and after I cooked it, I used it for a doorstop.
See, so disappointing.
Yeah, but what I will say is this, is that, for instance, with chicken, one of the things that is noticeable from following the recipes in the book is that organic chicken really has a different taste and moistness to it than regular chicken, and it's almost like once you have it, you can't go back.
No, and that's why I cannot go back to grocery store meats, ever.
Absolutely.
The flavors, the texture, the taste, and yes, it may be a little more expensive, but you know what? Just don't eat so much and appreciate the flavor and appreciate the texture.
And if you think about the things in life that we spend money on, isn't our health and our bodies the most important and what we should be focusing on? And sometimes we get distracted and the dollars get spent on other items. But food, I do spend more on food than probably an average person my age, but I care about what I'm eating and I enjoy the good flavors. And another thing about the chickens too, the breasts aren't pumped up. Like, you don't find a huge chicken breast because they haven't been pumped up for the size, because that's what the consumer wants, their actual size of the chicken, the way that it's supposed to be.
Wait a minute, you mean that when you buy a regular commercial chicken breast, that's not the actual size of the breast?
Chicken breasts are not supposed to be sizes that they are on the commercial.
2 pounds.
Exactly.
They're not supposed to weigh 2 pounds.
It's a leaner white meat, and so the consumer has said that that's what they want, and so that's what they've been provided. But in actuality, the chicken, does not meant to have that size.
I commend you for understanding and for eating organic chickens. It is huge difference. First of all, in what you're putting in your body. No, there aren't the hormones. They're not pumped up chickens. They're chickens that have their feet on the ground. And that's the way I refer to the eggs too. They're eggs from chicken that walk around with their feet on the ground.
Now, you both are part of a broader movement that is taking place. And since the last time we were together, we had the opportunity to have Margaret Mondavi on the show,
Oh,
who
nice.
is very famous for her generosity with her late husband for the Mondavi Center, but also has recently started an Institute for Food and Wine at the University of California, Davis. And one of the things that she shared with us at the time was that this whole movement for farm to table is something where it is that while we have a growing appreciation, the word really hasn't gotten out to even the people in this region.
Yeah. What
we have available here. What do you both see in terms of trends that excite you?
Wow. I am excited. I think what's happening now, we are just now fully understanding where we live. We live in paradise. We have the most bountiful region basically in the country. There is not another place in this country where you can eat locally every week of the year from what we grow every week of the year.
You know, Dr. Oz told us that, sitting right in that chair.
Good. Dr. Oz and I at least both speak the same language. No, I mean, we are so blessed. There is no reason why the world should not recognize us as a food capital, because we are and we can be. And it just takes all of us to support local farmers, to conserve the agricultural land, not plant houses where we should be planting trees.
Sure.
And to really appreciate what we have. Things haven't changed here. And at one time, we were the fruit shipping capital of the world.
Oh, and we're not anymore? Oh, I didn't know.
The title has gone elsewhere.
Yes, yes. But nothing has changed. We still have the same water, the same temperature, the same soil. Everything's the same. We just have lost touch with the bountiful nature of our region.
One of the things that also is increasingly talked about is involving children in the education about healthy eating and healthy lifestyles. For parents that are sitting at home right now with us, what advice can you give to them about how to start to introduce their children into making the right choices?
When I see children at the farmer's market walking around holding a whole carrot and enjoying it, that's a pretty good start, isn't it? They know what it tastes like and they know where it comes from. I am appalled. I heard this, I read it the other day. 30% of all the elementary school children in this country are obese.
Really?
30%. Now, I think about that. This is our future. And you yourself know there's a difference in how you think and how you feel. You should talk about that.
Well, my wife says for the first time in years I sound like I'm making sense. I mean, I guess that's something, right? Nice. That's progress.
That's a good start.
Yeah. But I will say this. Eating naturally does mean that after lunch I don't want to fall asleep at my desk, and that I have energy to keep going further later in the day. And I suspect that that's probably because of the fact that I'm not bouncing between highs and lows.
Exactly. The processed foods are what cause your body to build up and then crash. And so when you have natural foods and real foods going into your body, it's just a nice sustainable energy for the day.
Now, for folks who want to take their experience in healthy eating and eating in season further, are there places where they can go to learn more or to get training so that way they can navigate both farmers markets and also what choices they make when they bring their whatever they purchase home?
Start with a book.
Well, yes, obviously.
Start with a book.
But is there like a helpline 1-800 helpline for the book.
You ask them to call Joanne if they have any questions.
You know, you'd be surprised how many questions we get all the time. And yes, I would always be available to answer those questions.
Be careful what you volunteer for.
But because I think if you just need to start eating healthy food and let the food inspire you, and there is a lot of information out there now. And you know, at the farmers markets that I go to, the master food preservers are at those markets and the master gardeners are there. That's a really good place to start. Ask them about healthy food.
Or how do I get started growing my own healthy food? How can I build a nice garden and have it produce so that I can also grow my own healthy food?
I mean, everybody should have pots of herbs somewhere around their house. I mean, why would you not want to go? If anybody thinks food is boring, then you know, throw in some oregano or some marjoram or some thyme or some basil, and it's so easy to grow. It's so easy to grow these crops. I'll tell you what, I had all these potatoes that were going to seed. You know how they go to seed? They start sprouting in your in your basket in your kitchen. And about 6 weeks ago, I decided I'm going to plant them. So we filled some pots with soil, we put them in. I'll tell you what, I have the most amazing potatoes. Well, but now here's the caveat. Once you plant potatoes, you be prepared to have them for the rest of your life. Because whenever you dig them up, there's always that little baby potato that's still there. But that's next year's potato.
That's next. Well, let's talk about the types of spices that people plant. Give us, from both of you, what's the secret spice that each of you use that most people overlook?
I think everybody needs to have garlic in their house at all times.
Oh, garlic, definitely.
That's not a spice, but I think everybody has to have garlic, and you need to have onions at all times. It's a staple in my house.
Absolutely. No, you can create anything or add to anything using those two items. As far as herbs go, it depends on what the season is. I mean, summer months, basil is always in the house, always in a nice glass and some water on the counter. Just whenever we need something extra, it goes right in. So.
Give us a great, simple way to use basil for the summer.
For the summer, what I like to do is blanch it in some boiling salted water just for a second, and then shock it in some ice water and puree it with some olive oil, and it makes a great dressing for a corn salad, for any kind of salad. Tomato salad. It's just a nice way. It's chopped up liquid form of basil. It adds a nice flavor and color to whatever it is you're making. Fresh leaves automatically go in my tomato salads though in the summertime, so that's another way.
All right.
I'll tell you, I'm going to give you a basil recipe. That this was when my friend called and said, I'm going to bring you some cherries, which are from Yuba County, by the way. He said, I'm bringing you some cherries. Can I have a meal at your house? And I said, sure. And so they thought, okay, so now what am I fixing? Well, I had some homemade pasta. I had some lamb sausage, Argentine lamb sausage, in my refrigerator because this is what I got at the market. I had kale. I had basil on the counter. I had some mushrooms, and I always have onions. And you know, that's what we had for dinner in a pasta which had kale, basil, all those ingredients. It was so good. And Stephen commented and said, I can taste each and every one of those flavors.
Wow. Wow.
So, but that was just, you know, from this week's farmer's market.
Exactly.
Well, speaking of each and every one of the flavors, tell us what we've got here on the table.
Oh, beautiful nectarines from Placer County, wonderful cherries from Yuba County. Joanne was thoughtful enough to make a Meyer lemon sham tort for you to enjoy with fresh berries.
That's out of the first book.
Okay.
That's out of the first book. It's about the fourth recipe in the first book. This is a recipe that I've had for 50 years, and it is made with a meringue crust. And I made 2 of them so that everybody here can have a taste. The berries, by the way, are from Placer County. They're from I got those at the market yesterday.
We'll see how far this gets through the studio.
Well, how about the nectarines?
I'll share those.
And some of the Yuba County cherries.
There you go.
Okay.
There you go. So now you all understand why we have our guests back on a regular basis. They always come bringing gifts. Anyway, okay. So what's next for both of you?
Oh my.
Laura is so busy. Tell them what you're doing.
Oh, well, we're supporting the book. We're doing a lot of book signings. I have a catering company that I have on my own, so I've been quite busy doing that as well. We're doing some other local events. We have a dinner coming up at Plates that we're going to be assisting with, which is exciting.
In October.
In October. And yeah, just local events, trying to support the ag community and help out however we can.
All right. Well, we're out of time, but I really appreciate you all coming back, and please come back again and bring more treats with you. Folks, if you are not hungry now, I don't know why not. That's our show. And I want to thank our guests, and thanks to you for watching. For Studio Sacramento, I'm Scott Syfax. See you next time right here on KVIE.
I'm James Beckwith, President and CEO of Five Star Bank. As a community bank, we believe that open dialogue about the issues affecting our region is vitally important. From the economy to the environment to social issues, we look forward to the conversations and hope you'll join in.